I was going, how am I going to do this?
We can't hear you,
Can't
Pam.
hear you, though. What's up,
There she is.
everybody? How are y'all doing tonight? Yay! Yeah, I'm sitting there going, I got to make another screen. I got to make another screen.
Apologizing up front. My internet is janky tonight. So
yeah, it was a show all about Pam, and then Pam wasn't here.
all I heard was, "Oh no, she froze."
I was like,
we're
no,
like doing the count. We're live now. We're out talking to the world, and just before we go there, I asked you a question, and you were totally frozen.
Yeah.
Uh-oh, and then you went
really
gone.
out.
Darn it. Well,
you're
I
back.
have my phone set up, so just in case, if it like tries to go away, I'll see if I can jump in on Zoom through my phone.
We have Jessica, Chris, and Hill. I said it right last time. I hope I said it right again this time. Probably sure it's Michael, maybe. I don't know. I messed it up this time. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. My brain's not in it. My brain was all into focusing on producing the show.
Freaked everybody out when I disappeared, didn't it?
It did, because I'm sitting there going, the frames. I gotta fix the frames.
No.
Shauna went in a straight panic there for a second. But, hey.
I did.
I did too.
Leslie,
you weren't alone.
there's Leslie. Leslie's here.
Oh,
Ken's
did she make
here.
it?
Yes, Ken's here.
So anyhow, here we are. It is
Michael.
I
had it right last time. Michael.
This is our final host week. We start with the actual interviews and talking about the regular normal format starting next week. But this week it's all about Pam, and so. And I'll be honest, I don't know that much about Pam, so I'm really interested in hearing about this. So tell me, Pam, who are you?
Who am I? What is your life? Let's see. What about me? I was born and raised in Caney, Kansas, Southeast Kansas. Gosh, I've been a paranormal investigator since early, way before it got popular. I had a very good friend of mine who had a house that had some really crazy activity happening in it. So she and I and another friend decided we were going to learn how to investigate. And so we did it old school back in the day. We had the compasses and the baby powder and, all that good stuff out. And, we actually got some good stuff back then. It was really interesting. Our first EVPs and I still have it. It's actually on a cassette tape. And it was Halloween night, and we had put it up in the attic of her house. And you could hear me turn it on, the big old ka-chunk. You know how you just have to push play and record? Hear the ka-chunk at the beginning. And we went off. And when the whole house is empty, you hear a woman talking and a man answering her. And then you hear her laugh. And we were like, holy cow. When we came back, we were listening to it. And we were just like, this is real. We actually got something, So that really got us excited about it. And
oh yeah, definitely. That's awesome. Have you ever moved that to a digital format so you can share it with the world, or you just kind of hold it on as a cassette?
I have not. I still have the cassette. I need to get it moved over.
Do you know anybody who has like some kind of technical ability to be able to do that hard job of moving it from an analog to a digital format?
I don't know. I'd have to think about that. I don't know. I've never.
He's up there.
He's up there.
Oh, can you do that? Listen, see, I don't know that much about everybody either.
I can do that. I can do that with what I got here right on my table.
He can do that. I can do that.
You can do that.
Oh, hey, that'll work. I would love to. I haven't heard it in a long time. I don't have a cassette player anymore. So yeah, but I know where the tape is. It's in my curio cabinet. So.
Of course, I can't say too much because, like I said, I got video that I want to move it to where I could make some small ones, and I just haven't done it. And what is it like? I feel like Shauna, because what'd you say? It was like forever ago you did investigations to have stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Shame on me.
I think we
Shame
all
on
do.
you. Shame on us.
I think isn't that like a prerequisite that you have to have like 2 years worth of backlog stuff to go through,
right?
To be
it's now 4 years.
It's yeah. Yep, it's 4
Now
years.
4
I'll
years.
take that one.
I bet I have 4-year-old stuff left to go through. Pretty sure I do.
There you go. Professional.
We are professionals.
So you've been
All
doing
of
it for a
us.
while.
I like
You
it. I'm
did. You
doing
said
it for
you've
a
always
while.
been into it.
Yeah, even when I was a little kid, I was, I didn't want to be a nurse or, anything like that. I wanted to be an archaeologist. I wanted to really dig into history. So history is a big thing for me too.
We had an archaeologist on our team. He said it was really boring. Yeah. But anyhow,
That's
so
funny.
that's funny. Yeah, my wife, you haven't met her, but you will.
Mhm.
But she was one of those as a kid. I was always into the spooky stuff. I was always
Yes.
Oh,
checking out the books from the library at school on
sorry.
ghosts and Bigfoot and UFOs.
Mhm.
So you
Oh,
were
100%.
you were that kid, huh?
I was that kid. So your wife and I should get along really well.
Oh,
Because,
yeah.
And one of the very first books that I checked out a million times, there weren't a lot. Caney's a very small town, and we had a really small library at the time. And so the paranormal section was about one book, maybe two.
Oh, yeah.
Aw.
And so I checked that one book out. It was on ESP. I checked it out a million times. And
So the librarian
happened to
was like,
still be
there she goes again.
right. Well, I work at that library now that I'm older. And I don't know, it was a few years ago, we decided to really deep weed the nonfiction. That book was still there. I had no idea it was still on the shelf. So I got it. I took it home with me when we
That's
needed
great.
it. So yeah, I have one of my very first books on the shelf. It's
Wow.
back there somewhere right behind me.
Is it somewhere over there behind you?
Yeah, it's somewhere over there on the top shelf.
No, that's funny. No, I never really got into the paranormal. My family had some, I guess you want to say, psychic ability on my mom's side. I remember them talking about my aunt and a lot of stuff. She freaked people out. I was too young to really know any of that stuff going on. I didn't believe in the paranormal because Star Wars, and I wanted the Force, and I wanted to be able to move something. I wanted to be able to choke somebody, and I couldn't do
Right?
it. So I was like, "Oh,
Wait,
that stuff isn't
you
real."
say you wanted
I wanted
to
to be able to
choke
bend
somebody?
spoons.
What?
You say you wanted to choke somebody?
No, I would never. I would never say that.
He wanted to
Don't
be
play
some-
this
oh, no,
back. It's exactly what I
track,
said
sorry.
because
They want lightsaber people.
ever since Darth Vader choked that punk in the boardroom, man, I wanted that power so bad, but I didn't. But no, I just never was into it. But yeah, like you
Oh,
were.
I always have been. My entire life, I have been. Had some really strange experiences when I was pretty young, and that stuck with me. And then, there was a lot of legends around my town too. It's kind of a Bigfoot creature that's out in the Sandhills, which is just west of Caney. And at the time, we called it Catman.
Catman.
Yeah, we called it Catman.
It just knock things over off your shelves or something.
Right? No, it knocked the water off all the time. I don't know. It's really annoying, but yeah, no. That story had been around for a long time, and there's actually a book. It's called Tragedies of the Osage Hills, and it was written in the late 1800s, early 1900s. And there's a story in there, and it's called The Wild Man of the Osage Hills or something like that. Can't remember the exact title, but it is about that particular origins of this legend that I grew up with. So it was actually based on a real true story. It just got kind of spun out of control, a little bit as it went through the kids and it passed from one person to the other. But yeah, it was based on a true story, which most, a lot of legends are anyway. But
Yeah,
it's
I
fun
think a
to
lot of the
know.
myths
Catman.
and legends are.
I've not heard of it. Catman.
Well, you got to think if there's
Yeah.
a Mothman, there's
Well,
going to be like a
no, that's what I was saying.
Catman or.
Well, no, the Mothman. Yeah, I always thought that was kind of a weird name for him when I call him Mothman. But I will say I was really Tina once again is crazy. And when we went to West Virginia, that's outside of A.M.O.K, we had to go to the Mothman thing, and she was like a kid in a candy shop with
Oh,
the
I
with
Oh,
the
I
bet.
bet
with
that
the
would be
stuff.
so
And
cool.
we got Mothman stuff up here. We got all kinds of stuff all over the place. She just went crazy on it. But I was like, yeah, whatever. Right. Took pictures of it, me by the statue of Mothman. And
Mhm.
I was right there by his butt, things like that. Uh, we all
Bible.
had those pictures. But when I was looking at the history of it, I didn't know George Washington wrote about it. And
I
yeah,
didn't
so
either.
when he did his
About Mothman?
survey, right, and he's going through, he talked about the what the Indians were of the area were talking about the creature who they're all saying is the same creature as the Mothman. And I was like, well, if George is talking about it, that gave it some weight. And not some, crazy teens who've probably been drinking all night and driving home and I don't know. I
I've
don't know.
never heard that. That's interesting.
Yeah, well,
Now
yeah.
there is a cheap cornstalk that
Not that I'm trying to highlight Point Pleasant because they're not in Arkansas, Missouri, Oklahoma, or Kansas. It's way over there.
Right? Right?
what'd you bring it up for
the-
then?
I know, right?
Well, it's because you're Catman.
We were talking about Mothman.
Anyhow, no, I never even heard of that. That's kind of cool. Well, I saw that creature in Oklahoma, and I could see if somebody, depending on how people see it, I could see how somebody would think that was a cat. But the
Oh,
way
I'm not exactly sure how it got the name of Catman, but it was definitely a large man beast thing. And the original story behind it was the area that I'm in used to be on the Pony Express trail. And there was an old place down by Pam, which is just south of me in Oklahoma. It's between me and Shaw, actually. And there was a Pony Express stop there.
Oh, yeah.
Well, there was a guy that one of the riders came through and never made it to his destination. He never showed up where he was supposed to show up. And, they looked for him, couldn't find anything. And then there was a family that had come through on a covered wagon. And I'm paraphrasing because I can't remember the details of this exactly.
No, I want it word for word.
Right. Well, they were coming through and all they found of the family, if I remember correctly, everyone was dead and the little girl was missing. And the horses had been killed. The covered wagon was just left there. And there were some things missing. And so there were some, I think they were soldiers or hunters or something. Man, she's like, that's not right, man. But she knows better than I do. They had decided that they were going to set a trap for this thing. And so they were asleep and they had left some things out to kind of entice whatever this person was so they could try to capture him because they didn't know who he was at this time. And so he comes through and they actually are able to catch him in the act. So they take off after him. Well, he takes off running, they chase, and they end up by a cave that's supposedly just west of Caney. And it's in the area of a bridge that we call Stone Bridge. And when they get him there or get to him at this cave, he puts up this huge fight and they end up killing him. And once they've gotten rid of him, they go into the cave and there are the Pony Express riders' bags. And this is all a true story. Pony Express riders' bags were there. The mail was there. There was trinkets everywhere. There was a pile of human bones. The little girl's necklace was there. So, they knew what happened to her at that point. They never did determine exactly who this guy was. Apparently he was big. He had really long, gray, scraggly hair. And they think he did have shackles that had been on his arms so long that his skin had partially grown over them.
Oh,
so he had busted loose from somewhere. They thought once they caught him or figured out who he was, they think that he may have been Delaware that had escaped from a mental institution or, had been held because he was insane. So that's who they think he was, but it is based on a true story. And supposedly they buried him right there at the cave.
Wow.
Yeah, it's crazy.
What a happy story.
Right? Isn't that great?
Yeah.
So we used to really scare each other with stories of Catman, you know, he was out there, he was going to get you. And of course, that's right in the area where everybody used to go out and party in the Sandhills, was right in that area. But we have seen some strange things out there. So it's pretty interesting place.
Wow.
Yeah, when you started that conversation, the first thing I thought of was, could it have been a Wampus cat, the mythological creature? But that's a Cherokee legend. It's not so much in your area.
And this was a man. This was
Correct. Yeah. When I
once they
heard,
got him, he was a human.
gotcha.
Yeah, at first when you were talking, I was thinking Skinwalker, and then you went
Yeah.
then you went really dark and like, I'm eating people.
Yeah. Yes.
Which is
God, why
it
am I
was
laughing
crazy.
at that?
Another reason for Adrian not to go in the woods.
well,
But you
another
know
reason,
what's-
exactly right.
What's crazy is out in that area too. When I was a senior in high school, I'm dating myself horribly here. It was 1987. And me and my friends, it was the summer after we had gotten out of school. And we worked at a place called Cotco. And it's a printing company just east of Katy. And we worked overnights. We inserted the ads into the newspapers and stuff. And so our lunchtime was at midnight. And so there was 4 of us that were best friends. And we all jumped into my friend Shelly's. She had a little Toyota. And we jumped into it. And I was in the front passenger. She was driving. And then our friends Tish and Amy were in the back seat. And so we decided we'd go out in the Sandhills to see if everybody was out there, because it was like a Friday night, I think. And when you leave Caney going to the west, you go out past the water treatment plant, and then there's a bridge. We call it Graffiti Bridge. And when you come up to that, you're kind of coming at a curve, and then you straight away through the bridge. And when we did that, just on the other side of the bridge, there was this thing standing in the middle of the road, and it looked at us, and it bent down, and it jumped. And when it jumped, it was like on the lines in the road, and it jumped, and it completely cleared the guardrails off the side where the river is. And off that side, there are these gigantic boulders, you know, like they put up to shore up the rivers so they don't flood. And we've gone out there within the last few years as a team and took a really good look at where this would have happened. And it looks to us like it would have been about a 30-foot drop off over the side of that. So whatever it was jumped straight up in the air over that side and took off.
So when you go out and investigate things like this, who's got the shotgun?
Right?
Yeah,
Shockingly, none of us do.
I'll stick with
Which is kind of
ghosts.
surprising.
I'm not big on creatures. Yeah, Tina likes. I guess she likes to stuff critters. She don't like.
Well, you know,
I
here
kinda
in
like
the
it all.
State of Oklahoma.
You know, we
Law.
started out with ghosts and things like that, and have kind of spread out a little bit more, kind of
Yeah, we
incorporated a little bit of everything.
started off with talking about cryptos.
There's a lot in this area. There really
There
is a
is.
lot.
A lot of UFO sightings.
Don't mess with
Mhm.
UFOs either. They'll want to probe me. I'm not happy about that either.
I know a couple of years ago they were talking like this big, huge Bigfoot sighting that was on near
There was in the 50s, there was a huge well, I say huge. There was a big sighting of a Bigfoot out by Noxie, Oklahoma, which is just like South Coffeyville, Juan area. out
No
in there.
way.
Oh yeah, that's a famous one. Have you haven't heard of that one?
Oh,
Yeah,
I'm
it's
gonna
in
have
some
to
of the big
research
books.
that one.
Yeah, it's called the
Oh.
Noxie Monster. Noxie,
Called the what monster?
the Noxie Monster.
It sounds like you're saying Nazi monster.
I know, that's what I
No,
thought so too. At first, I was
N-O-X-I-E.
like, not
No, it's they saw it in Noxie, Oklahoma. It's
Oh,
the name
okay,
of the little
okay.
town. Yeah,
Kind
I
of
like-
like a Bigfoot.
yeah, yep. They're
Okay,
pretty sure
'cause
that's what it was.
Because in the 70s, like I mentioned a couple weeks ago, we had Momo the monster,
Mm-hmm.
which was up near Louisiana, Missouri. It's about an hour north of us.
So do you
It
think
wouldn't
they're all the
surprise-
same creature? Don't you agree? They're
I
all
don't
think
know if they're
so.
the same
Yeah.
exact creature,
just
but I'm sure they're the same species,
well,
probably.
is it well?
I assume that
Skunk
they
ape,
migrate.
the falcon monster, and
Yeah.
Bigfoot, and all I think they're all the same creatures myself, but I don't know. I've never seen one, so what do I know?
No,
I'd
what you
want
saw was
to
more like
see
a Mothman.
Yeah.
Mothman. Well, I don't think Bigfoot has wings. Mothman has wings.
Well,
I
that's what
could
I'm saying.
tell.
What
I could
you
pull out the.
saw,
I could
didn't
pull
you?
down the doll right now and show you he's got wings.
I mean, didn't you say you saw something that looked like
What I
that?
saw looked like it had wings, but I don't. I can't 100% say he had wings. It's just the front legs were really pronounced and up high behind his back. And Tino said the same thing. It looks like wings were folded back, but I don't know. And I'm thinking I kind of want to go and have Tina and I both try to do a hypnotherapy regression thing and take us back to that day and
It's a good way to pull details.
see what they could pull out. And there's this girl in Little Rock said she could do that, and I kind of want to do that, but
You need to record it
I'm
and
afraid.
get a sketch artist. What?
Yes.
What I say, yeah, that would be really cool because over the years it kind of fades to touch.
It does.
Lot of
Well,
things.
luckily, when I saw that thing out west of Caney, we went back to town, and within a day or two, I drew a picture of it. As far as I could remember, wasn't the greatest artist at the time, and everybody made fun of me because they were like, "Well, the face is too human. You know, that's not Bigfoot. The face is too human. The eyes and everything." And so I was reading on. Do you know Dave Politis? He does all the missing 411 stuff. Have you guys heard of him?
Yeah.
Yes. Well, he went out to, I think it was Washington State, and he brought a forensic artist with him to the I can't think of the name of the tribe. There's an Indian tribe up there that basically live really close with some of the creatures up there. So he brought this artist up with him to see if he could draw what they were seeing. And some of the pictures that he drew, I was shocked when I saw it because they look so much like what I saw in the face. It's creepy.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Mm-hmm. Hoopa, the Hoopa tribe. That's it.
No,
Hoopa. Hoopa.
Okay. Oh.
Yeah. Yeah.
there's a lot.
Oh, I
But,
know. There's a lot.
No, I just creatures, man. They kind of freak me out. But no, that's well established, I think. But
Right.
so when you said you first started, how did you know what to investigate with?
We didn't really know for sure 100%. I was a fan of Hans Holzer,
Uh-huh.
And loved his stuff and had read some of his books. And so, we were like, okay, well, he uses this, and he uses the compass, and basically you take a compass, and it works now if you don't
I
have
have a
the money
compass
for
in my
equipment.
kit. I have a
Yeah,
compass in my
absolutely.
kit. Yeah.
And it does work. I mean, if you come up on something that will spin from north, you've probably got a little something there to investigate. But no, that's how we started out, was that way. Had some really crazy experiences at my friend's house. Took a picture when she was painting the house. She asked me to come over and, just take pictures of it outside before they painted it. So I ran over there. It was gray at the time, and she painted it pink, and it was on the main street in Caney. And so I jumped out and I just took 3 sequential pictures. And it was like a year later when we were looking at them, I had noticed right after we took them, the picture where she's stepping out into her yard, there's like this little white thing in the corner. And I was like, I don't know what that is. It's kind of smoky looking. Didn't see anything at the time, didn't smoke, so didn't know what it was. And we just happened to be going through those pictures one day, and she was like, there's a man standing in this window, looking. And so we got to really looking, and yeah, it does appear to be a man with a mustache. And I was like, you know who that looks like is Captain Stone, which is J.E. Stone. He's one of the founders of Caney, and he actually used to own that home that she had purchased.
How cool.
And so we dug in some old Caney books, found a picture of him, and it does look a lot like him. A lot like him. Yeah.
That's cool.
And she had some really, she would hear little kids calling for grandma, and she had grandkids. So she'd be like, what? And she'd be walking around, there'd be nobody there. She'd be there by herself. And when she first bought it, we were helping her renovate it. And she had paneling, that really dark old paneling. And she wanted to cover it up. She didn't want to tear it down because she didn't know what was behind the paneling, but she just wanted to wallpaper over it. So I was in her tea room wallpapering, and there were so many nails in that wall where they had hung pictures. And so, I would start to hang some. Well, I'd have to stop and pull nails all the time. So I just had the hammer hanging on the little, what's it called? The
brace.
the joint.
Brace.
Yeah, the brace. Yes. Hanging off of that. And I had gone up and thought I got everything down, went down back to a length of paper, and I was taking it back up to hang it, saw another nail. So I was like, crud. So I go back down and I go to grab my hammer. It's not there. And I was like, I just used this. Where is this stupid thing? And I was like, hey, she was in another room, and I was like, hey, did you by any chance come in and get the hammer? And she's like, no, I haven't been in there. And so she came in and helped me look, and we couldn't find it anywhere. So she's like, that is weird, but I have another one out in the garage. So we go out in her garage, pick up another hammer, come back. I go up and pop the nail down, and I hung it back on the ladder. And I go down to pick up the wallpaper to hang it, and I stepped on the original hammer. And I was just like, okay.
Wow.
Nope. Yeah, it was freaky.
Nice.
It was freaky.
Yeah.
So there was some crazy stuff that happened in that house.
Well, how did you meet who you're with now?
I am actually one of the founding members of Southeast Kansas Border Town Paranormal. And Mark Bannon, he's another of the originals. He and I had been talking. I worked with his wife, and we got to talking, and we were like, we should like put a call out and see if anybody would be interested in talking paranormal with us. So we did. And we were like, we're going to get like one person, maybe two. There was like 20, at least 20 people that showed up, and we were shocked in Caney, Kansas, because we have, our population's a little less than 2,000.
Wow. It is small town.
Yes. And we were really surprised. And so, we started holding meetings, and it eventually came down to just 4 of us. And it's me, Mark Bannon, Jessica Holman, and Mike Coy. And we've been together since 2012, looking into stuff and really enjoying it. It's a lot of fun. It's a good crew.
You do a lot of private locations, public locations?
We mostly do private locations, and almost all of it's anonymous, which is perfect. I don't have a problem with that. We really will, anytime we can. So that involves a lot of research, a lot of looking into the history of the location, and yeah, it's a lot of fun. A lot of fun. We've helped a few people, and that's always cool.
Who does the research?
Jess and I both do.
Oh.
And then we've got, I'm a librarian, shock. I love research. But we have a auxiliary member now too, that her name's Jennifer Rawson, and she's been with us for a couple of years now. And she works at the library too. She's actually the director. And so yeah, along with her, we're able to turn up a lot of interesting information.
Have you ever had to go to like the courthouse and get?
We haven't, and the only reason we haven't is because the Montgomery County Courthouse about 3 years ago had a line burst up where they kept all of the paper records. And so they are still in the process of trying to salvage those records. Yeah, so yeah, it's sickening.
Oh no.
We cried. I cried.
I would
It's
have too, all
horrible.
that history.
Yeah.
at the hospital that we're not supposed to mention by name that's here that we talk about so often, and the town that it's in, there's a library, and they have a lot of the letters from patients who were there, and just a bunch of stuff. We went there and just spent all day just going through stuff.
It's fascinating. It's so easy to get caught up in it.
Oh, it's easy, yeah. But it's with all the history that we have here. We go to the historical society and
Yes.
talk to them, but when they find out that we're paranormal investigators, their eyes glaze over.
Well, I used to be the president of the historical society here, so.
Well, we do have one that is really, really good and really helpful, and I'm actually going to have her on the show here in
Cool.
month after next, something like that. But yeah, she runs a museum here in town, and she's pretty great. But
That's
a lot
awesome.
a lot of research has just never been my thing. As far as like just digging through the papers, I have a limited attention span.
We've got the Caney newspapers clear back to the first papers back in the 1800s on microfilm at the library. So if we really need to start digging and we have some, inkling of when something could have possibly happened, we've done that many times.
I have to have more direct location to go to. You know what I mean? If to do research, I don't know where to start. So if you do research, where's the best place to start for the people out here who might be interested in that?
So a lot of times we will know the location before we start. One I can think of off the top of my head is the Garnett Hotel in Garnett, Kansas. We went up there.
That's the one with that what's his name owns, part owner of.
Yes.
What's his name? Yeah.
I know exactly who you're talking about. I can't think of his name. Is it Rob?
That's terrible.
Is it Rob? Might be Rob. I can't remember.
Rob. Yes.
Rob Garcia?
Yes, Rob Garcia. He was at the Monster event. That's where I met him. So
yeah. We had gone up there and investigated on just an overnight with our group. And when we got back, we also have access to like newspapers.com, things like that. So we immediately, and at that time it was Jennifer and I that were doing it at the library. We started digging up all kinds of, we found the coolest information. I mean, you just start with a location, and in this instance, it was the hotel. So we know where it was, and it was relatively easy to do a little bit of research in the county and find out when that hotel became to be, or, at least something about it. And then one thing leads to another, honestly, when you get started. And that's really, we kind of, it's easy to get caught up in the chase.
Yeah. You got to really be a puzzle person.
Gotta stay focused. Yeah. Really gotta stay focused on what you, because I've been in your where I've researched something and then it leads to something else, and it's like, and then you go to down that rabbit hole, and then you have 5 other rabbit holes to go down, and it's like,
oh, that's the story of my life. We also Mark, which is one of the members of our team, he runs a podcast with a guy named Phil. They do the What If Tomorrow podcast, and they do the What If Tomorrow on the Fringe. And Jessica and I co-host with them a lot. And they pretty much throw a topic at us, say, hey, this week we're going to talk about this, have at it. So she and I will spend the next week just finding everything we can find on stuff. And right now we're going into our 3rd week on artifacts that are out of place in America. So basically, like last week, we talked about Egyptian artifacts that have turned up in pre-Columbian America. That should be there.
We have Viking runes over here in
yes.
Not I started to say Spyro. It's not Spyro.
It's Heavener.
Where?
Heavener, Oklahoma.
Heavener. Yeah. So you know about it. So
I'm a horrible Oklahoma rep.
I'm really drawing a blank on names now. It's like when just talking just recently, just now about Rob. I was just talking to him, carried on this big old long conversation, asked him if he would be willing to come onto the show and talk about stuff. And I was asking him about things in Kansas. Now, just 4 days ago, I think
That's funny.
I need some focus factor. I think I need something.
It's fascinating. There's
Yeah.
some,
But
especially.
I'm getting ready to turn 56 this Sunday, and that's
Mhm.
probably that's it. I have old brain disease. Anyway.
And I had old brain disease when I was in my 20s. Because, oh my God. It's just getting worse
That's funny.
every year.
So I mentioned
Pam,
this. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, Pam, did you guys talk on that show about the Moberly thing? Because you sent that to me, and that was
Not
fascinating.
yet. Not yet. We haven't. You know, we were talking about getting with the guys to see if they'd be interested in maybe doing a show on giants. And
Okay.
that were found, you know, there's been more than one set in more than one location of bones of people that were at least 8 foot tall. And that's not
Wow.
normal, you know, that's considered a giant. And I had sent Ken a article that I located, I don't know, it just in my search for other things in America, ran across this one about an underground city that was under Moberly, Missouri, out by St. Louis. And the witnesses to that at the time when it was put in the paper were pretty credible people. It was like the sheriff and was it like the city something with
Well,
the city.
but it was written in 1850s or something
Yes.
like that.
Mhm.
That and
Wow.
all scientific knowledge. It was incredible how specific they
Yeah.
were.
And
Wow.
like the next couple of days, they were like, "Oh, yeah, sorry, we made it up," and then they blasted the entrance shut.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, something is not right there.
Yeah,
Who
Men in
wanted them to
Black.
cover that up?
They
Men
did.
in Black at that time. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would highly, yeah, I'm highly suspicious
Mhm.
of that one.
Oh, yeah.
It was
Yeah.
too informative. I mean, they talked about the sagittal bones in the head. You know, they were naming actual bones in the skull, things like this. They weren't just like, oh, it was this whole huge city that's, you know, covered in gold and, you know, all this. It wasn't anything fanciful. You know, they were like, hey, we went down here, we found this crazy information. And they brought a few artifacts back with them. And then they, you know, within a couple of days, they were like, yep, nope, we lied.
Yeah, but it's all in the basement of the Smithsonian.
Probably,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
I wouldn't doubt it.
Area 51, whatever. Area 52, whatever.
They
Whatever
probably,
it takes.
well, you got to think if they had an
Exactly.
Area 51, they had probably 50 more areas in front of that one, and they probably have 50 more
That's-
areas
Yeah, they
after
never talk
it.
about they never talk about Area 1.
They're
Right?
probably
That's probably the
20
White
into Warehouse
House.
13.
So Pam, yeah, I've said it on the show several times. I keep saying it is it was your team and your team's event that really made me, it was just a straw that made me want to start this program.
Yes.
So we're talking about the Bordertown event, and
Yes.
tell me a little bit about that, and well, not just me, tell the world.
Tell the world. Last year was we've done it annually. Last year was the first time that we actually took it a little bit bigger though, and out of the library. We'd held it in the library before that. We decided to make it an event to where we really wanted to network with other enthusiasts in the area. So we basically invited a bunch of people from different areas in the 4 states and invited the public to come watch and set up some panels. We talked about things like one panel was on UFOs and UAPs, one was on Bigfoots and cryptids, one was on equipment and its use. You know, we did things like that. Local legends and lore was a big one. And we just spent the day talking paranormal, and it was so great. Shaw was there with me. It was fun. We had a good time.
Yeah, we did.
I was really, we were all just blown away with the fact that we had, it was between 150, 175 people coming and going throughout the day.
Yeah, that's really nice. That's good.
For our little town.
Especially being the
crazy.
first bigger one.
Yes.
So you said you took it out of the library. Where are you doing it now?
The Caney Rec Center, which has a pretty good sized gymnasium. It's a full size, basketball court, basically.
Uh-huh.
We have it in there. And we've already got it reserved for this coming year. It's going to be September 30th. The times that we're looking at now is going to be roughly 10 a.m. to 6:30. That end time could change. We're not sure yet. And we're going to do a combination of panelists and speakers this year.
Okay.
And we are going to offer at least one class. We're hoping to offer a few more. We are going to open up to vendors again. And we have a tarot reader coming, and we're hoping to get a palm reader that can come too. So it'll have a little bit of everything for everybody.
Oh, how cool.
Yeah.
So you're not starting first thing in the morning, you're starting like 10 o'clock. That's good for people who like to sleep in.
Yeah, well, and to travel to the event, because unfortunately, Caney's very small. We don't have a hotel, but we have some bed and breakfast in the area. And then there are 3 larger towns, and each one of them is 20 miles in a different direction from us that do have hotels. So, there are places to stay.
Coffeyville has a hotel, right?
Coffeyville has a couple of
Coffeyville,
hotels.
then there's Bartlesville and
Independence.
Yep.
Well, but it's cool is I forgot how far I said it was.
3 hours.
3 hours, 3 hours away. I mean, really, that is something that somebody can do in a day trip.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So they can go there since it's starting later on in the day. They're not having to worry about, well, they're starting at 7. So it's something that they can be, if they get on the road at 7 o'clock and they give them 3 hours to get there before the show starts. So that's pretty cool. No, I like that. That's a great idea.
We had some really great speakers last year and panelists, and we're already pretty much filled up on them now, but we've got some really, really fun people that are coming back. Dark Ozarks is over in Missouri. It's Lisa Martin and Josh Heston. They're authors.
They have their own podcast. Yeah.
They do have their own podcast. Yeah. They do some really cool stuff. They're in the Joplin, Branson area. I think he's closer to Branson. He's in Heston. She's in Webb City. So they bounce back and forth between there. They have some fascinating stuff. It's not all paranormal. They also have some really cool stories on like hidden treasures and all kinds of neat stuff. So they're fun to have. We've got Brian Terrell that's going to be coming up from Enid, and he is a Bigfoot hunter, and he collects stories on Bigfoot, and he's actually built a map through Red Dirt Cryptids that you can go online and look at all of the reports that he has been given so far. And it's pretty interesting. It's crazy how many reports are out there. Everyone considers our area flyover as far as paranormal or anything interesting. That's not true. I mean, it's here, just nobody's been talking about it.
Exactly right. At the heart of the show, because there are places that have a lot of focus on them, and there's so much stuff that happens here. And when I start talking about all the experiences that I've had here, just in this town, not to mention the other areas just outside of town, it's just amazing. And it should be, we should be on blast. Everybody
absolutely.
And that's kind of what this is.
Something that we thought was interesting too. Brad Metzer? He came out with 37th Parallel, the book, and talked about how supposedly the 37th Parallel all the way around the world is a UFO highway, a cryptid highway, things like that. Caney is smack dab on the 37th Parallel.
Oh, wow.
Which is fun. And we do wonder if that has something to do with it, because there does seem to be something to that thought that the 37th Parallel does seem to have a lot of crazy activity along it.
Well, I know one thing. When you go into Caney, it looks like a small town, but you drive around and you can actually, and like I don't know, because I'm not from there and I don't necessarily know what I'm.
You're not the first one I've heard say that.
But it does feel like there's a lot of energy.
Now when I come there in September, I'm going to be there. Where's the energy? If I don't feel it,
well, yeah, because you're not going to feel
like,
anything.
what a letdown.
The
Who knows?
skeptic.
I might go in there and go, ooh.
Ooh.
You might. Yeah, you never know.
So
Mufasa,
our
say it
goal,
again.
our goal is to try to double what you guys did last year. You said
That would be
150 was
Yeah,
what
we had
did?
150, 175. Yeah,
Okay, well, we'll try to make a target of 300. Try to get that done.
that would be awesome. That would be
Wouldn't
really,
it?
really
Oh my
cool.
gosh, that would be amazing.
The room's huge. I mean, the gym's huge. There's plenty of room for everybody. So yeah, that'd be great. I'm pretty excited about it.
Oh yeah.
Well, I'm
It's-
excited about it. And even though I didn't get to go last time, but
I
anyhow.
know. Darn it. But at least now you know it's cool.
You know what's
With that,
funny is
yeah.
I was for sure thinking that he had something he was that weekend. I didn't. And when I
Yeah. Well, I
realized
remember
we
you
were
telling me
going,
that you knew somebody that would really be interested, but you thought he had prayer commitments. I do remember you telling me that.
he,
Yeah.
I did speakage. I did speakage about you.
That's all right. That's all right. It's gonna be. It's gonna
She
happen.
did for
It's gonna
sure.
happen. Yeah. Looking forward to it. What else
And
going on in
sadly,
Kansas?
there's not that much. You mean in Caney or Kansas? Because honestly, there's not that much going on in Kansas. I was actively searching. Now there are some ghost tours up around Topeka, Kansas City area.
Mhm.
And you
At
know, of course,
Kansas
there's
City,
Atchison.
Kansas City, Kansas.
Yes.
Because I always say Kansas City and Kansas, and then they're like, no, Missouri.
Missouri.
And I'm like,
Yes.
that's messing my head up. So there's a Kansas City, Kansas, and a Kansas City, Missouri.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
How far apart are they?
They're
30 feet.
yeah. There's like a state line, and it's all together. There's just
So
a
why do
state
they
line
always get their
separating them.
panties in a wad when I say it the wrong state?
Because I don't know.
Because of taxes.
That's the
No,
truth.
that
There
is
are some
probably
cool
true.
I
places
can
in
say that, okay?
Yeah. Y'all know who I'm going to be going to for my taxes this year? That man right there is like, I think I did this.
Yeah. I
Funny.
got
And I'll just say, yes, you did.
I got the program. I got the program.
He'll say, yes, you did. Now you figure out what you did wrong.
Right? And I'll be like,
Yep. There's something wrong. You have to find it.
What?
I
What?
don't know what it is.
There are some cool places in our area. There's like we're like 20 miles. We talked about Coffeyville. There's a hotel there. There's the Brown Mansion. I don't know if you guys have heard of it.
Yes, and I've been trying to
reported
get
to have
in
activity.
there for years, but I guess
Aw,
maybe
Well, there's-
now. I mean, it was like 6.
yeah, maybe. There's the Condon Bank and the Dalton gang that did the raid in Coffeyville. Yeah, that's the bank that they robbed. And there's activity reported there. Elmwood Cemetery is where they're buried, and there has been activity reported there as well.
Really, you don't hear a
Mhm.
lot about cemeteries having. I mean, you'll see it every
No.
once in a while. You hear somebody say, "Oh, this cemetery is really active," and it's like, why would I want to?
100%. Yes, 100%. Independence, Kansas, the Independence Science and Technology Center. It's had some activity in there. They've actually had some ghost hunters come up and do a presentation and then do a ghost hunt afterwards there. Same with the
Wow.
Independence Museum. There's La Hunt up there. You have to have permission to get in there. You're not supposed to go in there, but it's an old cement factory. Tom Mix actually at one time was the sheriff. And
Ah,
it was shut down. It's no longer, it's been defunct for a very long time.
have to
But
make
there's,
a trip to Kansas.
yeah. And this is just in my area, you know. Then there's the Garnett Hotel, the 1858 Garnett Hotel. Parsons has a haunted ammunition plant. And there's some places up in Wichita. And I think, was it you, Adrian, that has a friend up there in Wichita?
I have several friends up there in
or
Wichita.
contacts up that way anyway.
Yeah.
I am
Yeah.
shocked that
And
Wichita does
specifically
not
talking
have
about the
anything.
Cowtown Museum up there. So,
And then of course there's the Sally House. There's in Atchison. It's also got the McIntyre Villa. It's got the Glick Mansion. And then there's supposed to be quite a few other places up there. The only place I've been in Atchison is the Sally House, and it's a very strange and unusual evening and trip. So I don't know.
And trip.
We'll have to talk about that sometime. It was wild. There's the Hotel Josephine in Holton, Kansas, which is reported haunted. Topeka has the Overland Station, and they actually just did a ghost hunt there, a public one, just a couple of weeks ago. So that was one of the ghost tours of Kansas. I noticed that they were there. We have forts. We have Fort Leavenworth. We have Fort Scott. We have
I can
Fort
only
Riley.
imagine the ghosts that live.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I could, yeah. Yeah, it's still,
man.
Leavenworth,
Adrian, we
Kansas has one of the big prisons, and that is currently in use. But
we
yeah,
have got to
there's
try to get a hold of. Just to see, there's a lot of bases that soldiers say they have felt something.
Fort Riley for sure.
Those are usually taboo. They probably don't.
Yeah,
go for
but
that.
that's what we're here for, whether or not it exists.
Yeah,
right?
the Fort Riley Historical Society actually has information on their National Historic Site. So I do believe there's information on hauntings there. But the only current thing that I could find that was coming up, and I can't vouch for them at all because I don't know them. It's Road Trip Paranormal, and they do have a Facebook page. And on February 18th, they have a thing in Wamego, Kansas called Ghosts, Tarots, Tacos, and Wine.
Where is that at?
It's in Wamego, Kansas.
How far is that from here?
It's about 3 hours north of me.
Oh.
It's close to my son lives in Manhattan at K-State, and it's really close to where he's at. So it's about 3.5 hours from you, Shaw.
Have to check.
Right? Doesn't sound fun.
It does sound like a blast.
Where was that one at?
Wamego, Wamego.
Okay.
It's like between Topeka and Manhattan.
Okay,
Kansas.
so near Emporia. Because Emporia is kind of in between there, I believe. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
It's a little bit further.
I'd have to pull up a map then.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a little bit further north, I think, from Emporia.
Okay. Gotcha.
But yeah, those are the biggies. So far as places to go.
I can vouch.
I put notes down to make sure I didn't forget anything major.
You can vouch for what, Ken?
I was going to say, I can definitely vouch for the McIntyre Villa. I was just there a few months ago, and amazing place. I mean, when you're walking in and Stephanie's giving the tour and you start hearing cats following you on the first floor, and it's like, and there's no cats in the building.
That's cool.
Yeah, it was amazing. Yeah, we're hearing cats with their own ears. It's like, you guys got a cat? No. I think the person who actually, well, there are ghost cats everywhere apparently, but apparently the lady who died there, and her rocking chair is still there, apparently was called the Cat Lady. Had just tons and tons of cats there. I've heard the number 40, but I don't know if that was exaggeration or not. But Stephanie was really interesting as far as telling the stories. Yeah, so, she's a really nice lady.
A lot of cats.
Okay, what'd you find, Pam?
Okay, go ahead.
I think that's the big stuff. I was just going to point out, I'm huge on podcasts. Obviously, my favorite one is A.M.O.K. I think we're gonna go places, guys. I think now everyone's got a chance to meet all four of us, and I'm really excited for next week when we start actually doing interviews and getting guests on. I think it's gonna be great. It's gonna be fun.
And
I'm working on Darren
we had
Evans.
a lot less bugs on this one here. I mean,
except for my glitch.
We'll call you glitch, but
the panic. The panic. I'm gonna have to make a separate screen just in case.
No kidding. God. That was terrible.
Because Ken did it last time.
Yeah,
I was gone. I was gone for 10 minutes last time.
Yeah,
that's crazy. Okay, so my favorite podcast.
So far, I've been perfect. I'm just saying.
We've got A.M.O.K. the What If Tomorrow on the Fringe. I've got to really shout out to Mark and Phil. They have a great podcast, lots of fun stuff. If you like to deep dive into the weird stuff, we've done things like crop circles. We've done Mothman. We've done, like I said, we're in the ancient America, pre-Columbian thing right now. We hit all kinds of crazy stuff, but it's a lot of fun. Who else? Oh, Dark Ozarks. They also have a podcast. It's on Wednesday nights at 7, same time we are, but they do theirs live on Facebook, and they're archived too. So you can go back and watch them later. And have any of you guys ever watched Astonishing Legends or listened to it?
Mm-mm.
Oh my gosh, you guys!
Astonishing
It's Scott
Legends. No.
Philbrook. Yes,
I've ever
Scott
heard of it.
Philbrook
I've
and
watched
Forrest
Dark Ozark,
Burgess.
listen to them, but I haven't.
Yes, you need to check out Astonishing Legends. They're crazy good. They
Podcast?
hit. Yes.
What day on that one?
They
know?
they pre-release. There's a pre-recorded.
Gotcha. Okay.
Who else did I have?
I like mine.
Ken's
I
all writing
haven't
stuff
done
down.
anything.
He's keeping notes.
The Haunted Objects podcast. It's actually relatively new. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of Greg and Dana Newkirk. They're behind Hellier. They do Planet Weird. Yeah, they're really
Planet Weird.
They
Is
have
that the
some
one
really
where
cool
their
stuff.
heads are flipping?
No, I don't think so.
That would be weird.
That would be strange. But yeah, the Haunted
Max
Objects
Headroom.
podcast. It's freaking hilarious. They drop every other Monday. And theirs is pre-recorded too, but it's so well edited and produced. It's a lot of fun. But that's best to watch on YouTube, that particular one, because you can actually join in on that one. There's a
So this is to everybody here. Do we have anything new and exciting that we've heard of that we've come across since we talked last week, as far as events or anything like that?
I do have 2 people that might be out. An Indian.
Nice.
That's
Yeah.
hopefully I can get them on. I gotta talk to them. Trying to talk Darren Evans and a lot of stories. The other one is I might not have his last name right. White. But he's the one that knows a lot about the story. And maybe
Yeah,
that would be great.
I'd rock that.
Yes.
That'd be a good time. Go back in there, do that stuff.
I've never been, so I'm really looking forward to going and trying.
When we went, it looked like it looked outside right now because it was snow on the ground all over the place. So anyhow, the snowpocalypse is here upon us.
Guthrie, right?
Guthrie,
yes.
yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's cool. I haven't been either, but I'd like to go.
Well, next week I'm going to be bringing Robin and Nancy. They're good friends of ours. Have investigated with us, but started off as clients. They got a great story. They're just wonderful people. You're going to love them as much as I do. As far as Arkansas goes, I mentioned all those events last time I talked, but events keep coming up, and we have annual events every year that are really good. And like I said, it's not always paranormal, because on February 11th, in Eureka Springs at the community center there, they're having a chocolate lovers festival and chocolate tour. And that's like right up my alley because I love chocolate.
There you go.
Hey,
Sounds good.
And March 11th at 1 p.m. at Hot Springs are having a monster truck wars. So, and those are fun things. And we're nerds. You kind of enjoy that kind of stuff. That's a cheap day out, $20. But what's even more fun is doing things that are free. and there's a steampunk festival here in Van Buren, May 13th and 14th. It is it's basically an outdoor bazaar, right? And then you have people dress up steampunk. They have different shows, and they'll have costume what do you call it, where they judging, and it's pretty fun. I've gone out and like take my camera out and take pictures of that, but I've never dressed up, and I'm thinking I need to get me one of those hats, get me a vest and stuff like that, and go steampunk myself. But that's what I want to talk about, things like that, as well as the paranormal stuff. And I know Kansas has got fun stuff coming up,
So does
because I hear about it all the time from my
Missouri.
Kansas people.
Does
So,
Missouri?
but it's still early in the year.
I've got some stuff coming up.
What you got?
Saturday, this weekend, Clarksville, Missouri. It's the Eagle Festival.
Yes.
The Bald Eagle
We're talking
Festival.
about
So
that.
I'm planning on going up there on Saturday afternoon because it's supposed to snow on Sunday again here. But anyway, I'm going up there in the afternoon. I'll have my Monster Paranormal hat on if anybody wants to come up and just join me, take pictures of eagles. There's conservation, I think, group is supposed to have an actual eagle there, so you can see it close up. They're huge. I've seen several of them. You were talking about steampunk. Labor Day weekend. I'm not sure if they're going to do it this year. Pretty sure they will. Hannibal, Missouri. That's Labor Day weekend. Steampunk festival. It's huge in the area. It's usually 2 or 3 days long. And of course, we have our Renaissance Festival in Wentzville in September and October. It's about 5 or 6 weeks.
Wow.
So cool, some cool stuff there. I've been to all 3 of these in the past.
Awesome.
I have
haven't
been to the
been to them in
Muskogee
the future
Renaissance.
yet.
That was. It was like when I first got here, like 2009. I got here in 2008. 2009. I got invited to go to.
That's awesome.
Did you dress up?
Oh yeah.
I've never dressed up. I'm very like
did.
ultra conservative when it comes down that way. I just need. I like to have fun, but I never think, oh, I'm not gonna do that.
I had ale and a turkey leg, and yeah.
Oh,
There you go.
I'll eat. I'll eat. Yeah, I don't have to be dressed up to eat. I just need a napkin because I'm messy.
Do we have any other? Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, if the temperature is not over 80 degrees, I dress up too for the Renaissance Festival.
Yeah, it was
Because otherwise
hot.
it's too darn hot. Yeah.
Definitely.
Last thoughts, anybody? We're getting ready to wrap it up.
Yep.
You said yep, like you had a last thought.
No,
Oh,
I mean,
you
we're
just
about ready to
agreed
wrap it up.
No. You put yourself in there. Yep, last thought.
No, my last
Thank
thought
you.
is y'all need to come back again next week, like and subscribe or follow or whatever you need. Track of us, and if you want to catch us on Facebook, it's A.M.O.K Paranormal.
Paranormal.
Well, I didn't know if it was A.M.O.K Paranormal or A.M.O.K Podcast, but I know on Twitch it's A.M.O.K_podcast, and on YouTube it's A.M.O.K Paranormal. So, with that, y'all need to follow us.
Follow
and
us.
subscribe.
For sure.
Yes. And thank you all for being here.
Oh yeah, thank you all for being here, and be here next week because it's going to be great.
Oh, and have your questions ready. I mean, there and look at your questions. You got a good question, we'll ask.
Absolutely.
And Pam, you did great.
Well, thank you.
Yes.
Although we never did dive into the quantum physics.
We did not.
That's true.
We did not.
Maybe next time.
Future show.
With that,
everybody.
I'm
bye.
saving it for another one. Bye.
Bye, y'all.